Hey all, it's John, aka Whisky and Sound, with another episode of Boilermaker Mondays. And today I have a special guest with us. You all should know him, and if you don't, Julian White from Whisky and Alement. Mate, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
No worries. Yeah, good to hang out with you.
Yeah, so especially during the ISO period, I know it makes things a bit trickier to either make our way down to Whisky and Alement, which is our usual point of hangout. So yeah, but we're here to talk about Boilermakers. Now, with you, you've been one that has always, pushed for the Boilermakers on the shop side of things, and also, and we've always been a big fan of your tasting notes because of your knowledge in the industry. So, we'll have a look at the Boilermaker that you got behind you now. So, what's the pairing that you've got there?
Yeah, so I don't have the bottle with me. I'm sorry, but it's a 12-year-old Craigallachie by Douglas Laing. They did a special elements series where they had like earth and wind and fire and all this sort of stuff. The reason they went for all of those I don't really know, but this was the one that was branded fire. A 12-year-old Craigallachie single cask, ex-bourbon cask, and it wasn't one that was brought to Australia. We got this from the UK, and so this is it. I can send you the pictures afterwards if you want, or we can do a screen share and I can get the pics up for you of the bottle.
Yeah, sure.
But do you want to get that up now, or do you want to?
Yeah, if you've got that handy, go for it.
I can't. You're the host.
Oh.
Another time.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I tell you what, if you want, you can shoot that through to us later. That's fine.
Yeah, cool. But anyway, and we paired it with the 6-string Brewing Space Hop Odyssey IPA. So this is a really interesting IPA. Actually, it's really nutty and earthy. The malt body on it really reminds me of one of those English IPAs. I don't know if you've tried any of those English IPAs that are completely different to, the new West Coast IPAs that are all sort of like
I haven't actually.
Fierce, resiny hops, whereas these English IPAs are much more dialed back in the hop department, really sort of nutty and low in ABV as well, and so we don't have that resinous sort of green dank hop character coming through on those. So the malt body is real nutty and cereal driven, and it's quite dark when you pour it. It's almost like a dark amber ale. So when they put lots of American style hops with this beer, it's really sort of got the two worlds together. It's American hops on an English ale. So I found that really interesting.
Yeah, right. There you go. So, all right. Well, I suppose so with regards to your Boilermakers, who's the brains behind that operation? Is that you? Is it Lachlan? Is it a bit of the both of yous, or who teams those together?
Yeah, mostly it's Lachlan, but I suppose we sort of set the style of how we do our Boilermakers over 9 years ago, is when we first started offering Boilermakers as a sort of set pairing on the bar. All that time ago, it was at the time I don't think there was anyone else in Melbourne really offering set pairings where they were sort of pre-orchestrated matchings almost. So it was really kind of a bit of a novelty for a lot of customers at first, that there could be a relationship between a beer and a whiskey. It wasn't just sort of sauce to go with your chips. It was it was actually more than that. And so it really sort of, when people reacted to the names and the pairings, it really sort of gave us the fuel to sort of go, well, let's keep doing this, let's offer more, and really get into what the science is of them. So I suppose really there's a couple of ways that we look at our Boilermakers and sort of go about making the pairings. I like to look at it in two separate sort of genres. Is it a harmonious pairing? Are the whiskey and the beer, do they carry some similarities? in terms of the weight, in terms of the the sweetness versus the hoppiness, or do we go the opposite? Do we go the contrasting style of Boilermaker, where you have a really light, delicate floral whiskey with a really big hoppy or really dark, heavy, intense beer to sort of give that light and dark situation. So that's the sort of structure. Is it a harmonious pairing, or is it a contrasting pairing?
Yeah.
So in the case of this one that we've got here, the 6-string IPA and the Craigallachie 12, this is very much the harmonious pairing. Yeah. The Craigallachie is really, thick and chewy malt character, lots of that sort of thick honey texture to it.
Oh, yeah.
And the beer, because it's got that really nutty, malty backbone to it, they sort of, they move into each other really quite nicely, in and out of each other. You can go from the light, sweet Craigallachie into that sort of slightly darker, more roasted grain character in beer.
Yeah, okay. That is a very interesting beer, actually. That's a very interesting one. Yeah, it's a really nice IPA.
Do you know what I mean about the roasted malt character in it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely picked up on that. That's completely different to what you're used to in most IPAs, I think. Yeah, that's nice. And a very easy drinking one of that too. And I can see, because there's like, you could it almost goes two ways, really. Like, I mean, I'd look at it as almost that it, maybe the Craigallachie is yet to open up a little bit more in the glass, but like at the moment, its approach is, it is almost savoury. So, but having said that, like it is really earthy, and really nutty too. So, I mean, I can also get why you've gone like the complementary element on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This Craigallachie reminds me of like sugar-coated almonds.
Oh yes. Good pick. That's a real good pick.
And it has got that savoury finish to it, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So it could, it's almost like it is a fine line between almost the best of both worlds, really. Oh no, that's what I'm getting on it. But yeah, like either way, that's still a very nice pairing. I'm gonna try go actually a beer wash with it, and then rinse it with the whiskey and see how that one goes. Because I just went the other way. So, all right.
It's a really good moment to talk about those English IPAs and what their sort of background is. I'm sure there'll be some beer nerds out there that can add to this story.
Yeah.
But there's a certain river in Ireland in England that a lot of breweries found themselves on. And because all the goods came in up the river from overseas or wherever it was, they set up shop there where all the goods came in, and the water that they used to make the beer in that town reacted particularly well with the hops, and so those were the beers that became the hoppy beers that were then sent on those long journeys. So we talk about beers, IPAs being sent to colonies for because they travel well because of their hoppiness. Well, actually, it was because the breweries that were making those beers happened to have a particular mineral content in the water that reacted really well with hop extraction. It's if you read Garrett Oliver's Oxford Companion to Beer, it's a must-have. It talks about these breweries as almost like their own sort of commune for the sort of nurturing of hoppy styles of beer, which I find really, really interesting. And the IPAs that we're used to today, your really big resinous jobs that are, you know, super, super hoppy and green, dank, pine sort of characters. Those are all new age IPAs. There was no such thing as these real hot bombs back in the day.
Yeah. And that's kind of one thing that almost put me off, you know, craft beer for a while there, because like one thing I found with hop driven beer, you either really like it or you don't. Like there's no in between with it. So, but I think like, I mean, trying something like this is a really nice balance. You know, of that, it's not aggressive, but it's nice. It's very enjoyable. So yeah, I quite like it. And so, and now who comes up with those names on the page as well with the pairings?
Sometimes it'll come to you straight away.
Yep.
Sometimes it'll go around, you know, 10 people at the bar, you know, it'll go through all the stuff before we actually come up with a proper name for it, because the naming is so critical to whether people decide that they're going to order it or not. Because you've got to appeal to the sense of adventure and the sense of flavour that they're after in a very short period of time. So if you can say, you know, strawberry cream and what do you call that, cedar in one sentence like that, you can really sort of get a snapshot of what the whole pairing is about, and that people go, oh, that's actually the flavors that I want. But then when it comes to you know, sort of a tone for the Boilermaker as well, that's also part of the situation. So if it's a really you know, a really crazy smoky whiskey with a crazy smoky beer, then we sort of need to acknowledge that there's that theme running through it, and so you can add a bit of humour at that point.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. I love the names that you guys come up with. It's they are ones that you just think, yeah, you know what, it's got that quirk to it. I want to try it. So it's good. It's definitely a selling point. So now we've been speaking about a common Boilermaker that it's a beer that we both love, and that's the Ballistics Mexican chocolate chili stout, or hot chocolate stout. Yeah. Now I believe you've got one as part of a Boilermaker pack with the Laing whiskey as well, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah. When there was a couple of us that we had one of the, like, it was like a regulars meeting that we had down at Whisky and Alement one time, and we had that beer there, and we we're like, right, what are we going to pair this back with? And what was suggested by one of the guys was, you know, maybe like a big show bomb. And then we saw the Cooper's Choice 2002 Muscatel finish Laing, and that was such a memorable pairing. Like, to this day, the finish is still on our palates, just intense. So to know that you guys have also, you know, gone in that very similar step. Like, I haven't looked at the Laing properly. Like, what is that? Like, what kind of cast finish is that? Is it an experiment?
Yeah, I think it was a PX finish on that particular one from memory.
Okay.
But I wonder how we both came up with a Laing for it, because like it just felt so natural, didn't it? I reckon it's because there's this really sort of minerally thing about Laing. You know, it's got that minerality to it and that savoury character. And when you think about like chilies, it can really sort of get that minerally character as well, you know, off it. That sort of, it gives it a hum, you know, and the minerals can give a hum, and the saltiness together sort of, it's evocative, you know. I think
it is a bit of a trip. It's a bit of a trip of a Boilermaker, because you get that soothing note as well from the chocolate, like in the coffee notes as well. It'll soothe down like any heat, but yeah, it's just awesome pairing. It really is an awesome pairing. Which brings me to my my next question. So what would be your most memorable or epic pairing that you just think, yeah, this is the pairing that I can't beat?
I actually wanted to bring it with me tonight and share with you tonight. It was that of Molten Miso Boilermaker that you've got there as well. The Hackashu and the Brooklyn Black Chocolate Stout.
Yes.
Oh, mate, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've got that right here. Got that right here. Yep, Hakushu 18. Brooklyn
such
Stout.
a ripper. Hakushu 18 that you've got in your use there is actually. I think I've lost you there.
Yeah, no, you dropped out.
We got you back yet?
Yep, all good. No, you paused up on me again.
Yeah, so
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, got you now.
We'll got you back. Yeah, cool. So the Hakushu 18 that you've got in that juice bag there is actually bottled in 2014, and I've tried the newer versions of that bottled in 2018, 2019. It's totally different. The one you've got there is like, oh man, it's out of the archives, that one.
Yeah,
and
right.
It tastes completely different. It's got this real reduced, fragrant sort of old school sherry note about it. It's really cool. But so the black chocolate stout and the Hakushu 18 are really cool together because the stout is, because it spends so long in the bottle, I think you can keep that stout in the bottle for up to 10 years and it'll continue to be okay. And the yeast that's in there continues to eat itself and become more and more Vegemite and saucy, which is really, really cool. But the reason that they work together is that the Hakushu is so fragrant and light yet complex, whereas the stout is so deep and dark and complex as well that you kind of get, both ends of complexity if it can work like that. So yeah, it's a really a bit of a juxtaposition, that Boilermaker.
Nice. That was actually one of the ones that I was eyeing off as well with regards to tonight too. So yeah, funny that you mentioned that.
I didn't have any of the stout left at work,
so
no. I wanted to do it. I was like, damn.
That's
so
right.
the most memorable one was Miro Bellini of Brooklyn Brewery and Good Beer, one of the founders of Good Beer Week. He often refers to the Good Beer Week Boilermakers, Good Beer Week events that we used to hold, where he reckons the first Boilermaker pairing events in Australia. And
there you go.
He still touts it today as that he and I held the first Boilermaker event in Australia. And one of the pairings that we did one year was the Brooklyn Ghost bottle called Dark Matter. Have you heard of that?
Oh, I haven't. Sounds epic already.
Oh yeah, I think it's their black chocolate stout aged in bourbon, Woodford Reserve bourbon casks for a crazy amount of time, and all sorts of other things have gone on in it. And I paired it with a Pappy Van Winkle 10-year-old, or an old Rip Van Winkle 10-year-old. And at the time, I was buying old Rip Van Winkle for $125 from a bottle. You could just go in there and go buy it off the shelf, $125, no worries. And at the time, it didn't feel that significant. It was, now that I look back at it, it was an incredible moment. I haven't forgotten how incredible the matching was. And again, it was that opposite ends of the scale. You had the really sweet wheated bourbon, and you had the really like deep Vegemite reductive character of the stout, and it was so cool.
Nice. Sounded epic. That sounded epic.
Yeah, that's the trophy. He gets at that where
Nice. Well, look, I mean, factoring in obviously what's still happening with COVID-19 and the restrictions, hopefully they start getting lifted up shortly for the bars and that. Do you think that you'll see possible Boilermaker events in the future?
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I've actually got some in the makings. I can give you a little breaking news if you like.
Oh yeah, all for it, all for it.
We've got a couple of casks that we brought over from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. They were, they held Scotch Malt Whisky Society whiskies in them, and we've got those casks at Hop Nation filled with a couple of their different beers.
Hey, look out!
They've been maturing away since maybe January, February. We were meant to open them in May for Good Beer Week, but that didn't happen. So, oh well, screw it. Let's just leave them there and come back to them later. So, there's going to be some awesome drams had over those two. So yeah, we're not only planning Boilermaker events, we're making them.
That's awesome. That's what we want to hear, because I'm getting the vibe that they're back on the rise again. I know that much. Like, they're making a comeback, like Irish whiskey's making a comeback all of a sudden. Like, people, like, they hear about it, and they hear all the stories, and they're like, oh, well, what's all the fuss about? So curiosity's definitely getting the better of them. And I don't know if you've maybe noticed that on the Boilermaker sales as well through the site, if they've increased as of recent times or not, maybe, or do you think they may have, or?
Not so much through our website. No, I mean, we haven't seen a particular dip either.
Yeah.
I think that people probably don't know how a Boilermaker is going to turn up to them in the post.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Like you do, because you've seen how we post things. And
yeah, well, this is it.
But most people go, a beer and a whiskey in the post, like, I can't, I have to put it in the fridge. I have to plan that. And is it going to be good because it's out of a tin, or is it going to be shaken up because it's been through the post? Like, it's a weird sort of a weird setup. But the great thing about the tins is that the tins go in the post real easy.
Yeah.
We can get them in those little mailer boxes that we put our tastings in. Yep. You can get like nearly 3 of these sort of size tins in there with 3 drams, and postage is bugger all. So I think
these juice bags are really handy whenever, because trying to do that with the the little 30 ml bottles that you get, there'd be a little bit of noise, and it gets a bit awkward in trying to fit them around in the packages as well. So these just work well because they're that compact. So they take up bugger all space, and alongside the cans are right.
And they weigh nothing as well. I was able to take 28 tasting packs up to the post office today in one go, and it weighed bugger all, which is great. That's anyway, that's the ins and outs. You don't care about that. But look, I think getting back to your question, I think look, Boilermaker sales could certainly be capitalized upon by companies if they really worked at it, for sure. I mean, we're not really interested in doing gigantic volumes of one thing. We're interested in doing the opposite. We're interested in doing small volumes of lots of different things. And it's hard for people to latch onto that, because unless you're on the knowledge train like you are, where you've picked up the vibe and you know how to understand the pairings and you know how to understand the whiskies and the beers, then it's going to be too fast paced for you, and you go, that's expensive. I don't get it. Yeah. So, but I think if companies really did sort of do it carefully, then I could see it going crazy. Yeah.
No, definitely. Well, look, I think that's pretty much that's pretty much summed up whatever I need to ask as far as tonight was concerned. This has been an absolute pleasure. Like, the pairing has been fun, and just getting your intake on everything as well. It's been really good. So thank you so much for that, Jules.
No worries, mate. Pleasure.
Cool. No worries. Well, and thank you all for tuning in as well. So next week, Boilermaker Mondays. I'll catch you on the next episode.
Sounds good.